Hi guys, I'm Beth, this is Remark, and today I'm going to be giving you a piece of my mind about Karin Slaughter's latest book, Pieces of Her. Ayo. Hi, thank you so much for joining today. We are going to talk about Karin Slaughter's latest book, Pieces of Her. Karin Slaughter is a well-known thriller crime genre author. She's been writing for many years, many books, more than 100 I believe. And surprisingly enough, I didn't even come to her until I read Pretty Girls. Ever since Pretty Girls, which was a fantastic book, I have been keeping up with this author and what she puts out. So her latest, Pieces of You, concerns a mother and daughter. They're both adult. The daughter is 31 years old. She thinks she knows her mother inside and out, and then all of a sudden something happens. In a diner, this crazed person comes in with a gun, starts shooting people down, and her mother has these almost cat-like, ninja-like skills in which she is able to handle the gunman. She's able to handle his bullets. She counts his bullets. When he pulls out a knife, she catches it on the knife part. She just develops these out-of-the-world skills where she's able to overcome the villain. I wouldn't really say he's the villain though. He's only there for maybe 5 minutes of the story. So after that happens, the mother is kind of squirrely, like, let's get out of here. Don't talk to anyone. And the daughter is just beside herself with worry and stress and trauma over what happened, and finds herself on the run with all of these documents, all of this money she didn't know that her mother had, just trying to get to safety and trying to figure out what in the heck is going on. So as the daughter Andrea runs, there's almost this cat and mouse chase. We learn more about her mother's past. Now the mother's past sounded almost like she was involved in one of those fringe groups of the 1960s, like the Weather Underground, or they also mentioned the Patty Hearst case where she had been kidnapped and then fought alongside her kidnappers. She got a case of the Stockholm Syndrome. But her mother's story is set in the 1980s, and so we learn all sorts of things about her, about how she had fallen under this very charismatic guy's spell, how he had managed to talk her and several other people into doing these extreme radical actions that meant certain death for many people. They did it in the name of justice. Gosh darn it. Now this book was nice and long. It was pretty meaty. There are a couple things that I was kind of about. One is Andrea herself. I feel like I didn't quite know her as much as I could have. I got to know her mother very well, but I didn't really know her mother's present self that well. We learned a lot about her mother's past, Laura/Jane. We learned a lot about that and what had brought her up to this point. I didn't really know much about the mother in the present so much. Same thing with Andrea. Although we spent a bunch of time with her, she was escaping and being traumatized and shocked at all this past that she's finding out. I still didn't feel like I knew her that well, which is kind of odd because it was a pretty meaty book. Another thing is I didn't quite understand how Laura was able to develop those ninja-like skills that she displayed in the diner and that she also displayed later on in the book. Now, when we learn about the mother's past, we learn that there are all sorts of things that she had lived through, all sorts of bad things she had gotten herself involved in, but none of those things really led her to be a prize fighter. None of those things led her to have these cat-like reflexes whenever faced with danger. Now, one of them was even an example of something that happened in her past, but still, for her to suddenly be that much of a badass with such short notice, especially after decades kind of living low, it didn't quite ring true to me. I love those escapist stories of people who are just normal, run-of-the-mill, maybe soccer moms or you know, stay-at-home dads or just regular people who all of a sudden they turn around and have these ninja kicks and you find out that they're secret assassins or something purely escapist fun like that. I didn't quite get the impression that Laura, the mother, had that kind of a past. Her past was more of a brainwashed, traumatic, how do I get out of this kind of a past. So it wasn't quite organic to the story for me, but it was still a lot of fun to read. So if you look at it as just escapist fun, then that's the book for you. If you go into it thinking, I want this to feel true to life, nah, not so much, not so much. And you're not going to know the characters inside and out like you think that you would for a book of that length. But still a lot of fun to be had. I'm still definitely a big Karin Slaughter fan. This is definitely another good entry in the Karin Slaughter canon, and I look forward to many more. All right, so that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you next time. Bye. We start to learn more about, oh, that's a bee. Okay. Sorry.